Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, stretching, reaching for your phone, and noticing something feels off. Too quiet. No cars outside, no voices, no movement. You walk to the window, and the street is empty. Not just quiet, empty. Every house, every road, every corner of your town, completely abandoned. No people, no sound, no explanation. Now imagine something even stranger. You are not the one who woke up in an empty town. You are the one who arrived after everyone else disappeared. Because there are places in history where something like this may have actually happened. Entire communities vanishing overnight. No warning, no chaos, no trace. And what makes these stories so disturbing is not just the mystery, it's the possibility that they might be real. Part 1. A town like any other. Before anything strange happens, everything feels normal. That's what makes stories like this so unsettling. The town wasn't famous, it wasn't dangerous, it wasn't even particularly important. Just a small, quiet place where life followed a predictable rhythm. People woke up early, went to work, talked to neighbors, lived simple lives. Children walked to school. Shop owners opened their stores. Elderly residents sat outside, watching the day pass slowly. Nothing about this place suggested it would become a mystery. There were no warnings, no strange reports, no signs of anything unusual. If you had visited that town the day before, you would have noticed nothing, and that's exactly what makes what happened next so difficult to understand. Part 2. The final night. The last night began like any other. Lights turned on inside homes, dinner was prepared, families gathered, televisions flickered, conversations filled the air. Some people went to bed early, others stayed up late. A completely ordinary night. But then, small details began to appear, details that seemed unimportant at the time. A few residents later mentioned strange sounds, a low humming noise, barely noticeable. Some dogs barked continuously, as if reacting to something no one could see. Lights flickered in a few houses. Not a blackout, just brief interruptions, easy to ignore. Nothing alarming, nothing urgent, nothing that would make anyone leave their home. And yet, by morning, something impossible had happened. Part 3. The morning discovery. The town wasn't discovered by its residents, it was discovered by someone from the outside, a delivery driver, someone who had visited this town many times before. He knew the roads, the buildings, the people. But this time, something felt wrong the moment he arrived. There were no cars moving, no people walking, no sounds of daily life, just silence. He stepped out of his vehicle and called out. No response. He approached the nearest house and knocked on the door. Nothing. He tried another. Still nothing. Finally, he opened one of the doors, and what he saw inside made no sense. A table set for breakfast, food still there, a cup of coffee not yet cold, a chair slightly pulled back as if someone had just stood up, but there was no one. He checked another house, then another, same pattern, everything in place, everyone missing. Part 4. The investigation begins. Authorities were contacted immediately. Local police arrived first, then investigators, then specialists. At first, they assumed a simple explanation, an evacuation. Maybe there had been an emergency warning, a gas leak, a threat, something that forced people to leave quickly. But there were no records, no alerts, no broadcasts, no messages, and more importantly, no signs of panic. There were no broken doors, no overturned furniture, no signs of struggle, no evidence that anyone had tried to escape. It was as if everyone had left calmly at the exact same moment, for no visible reason. Part 5. The strangest clues. The deeper investigators looked, the stranger it became. Personal belongings were everywhere, phones left behind, wallets untouched, keys still inside doors, things people don't forget, things people don't leave behind, unless they don't have a choice. Even more unsettling, meals had been left unfinished, some plates still had food on them, lights were still on, doors were open. It looked less like a town that had been abandoned and more like a moment frozen in time. And then came the detail that made everything worse. There were no signs of where the people went, no footprints, no tire marks leading out of the town. Nothing. It was as if the residents hadn't walked away, but had simply vanished. Part 6. Theories emerge. When something cannot be explained, theories begin to shape. Some investigators believed it could be environmental, a toxic gas, something invisible, something that forced people to leave quickly. But that didn't explain why they left everything behind. Others suggested a coordinated evacuation, but again, no records, no instructions, no communication. Then came more extreme ideas. Government involvement, a classified operation, something hidden, something removed from public knowledge. And then the theories became even stranger. Mass abduction, unknown forces, something beyond human understanding. Because when logic fails, the human mind begins to imagine possibilities, even the ones that seem impossible. Part 7. The possibility no one wanted to discuss. There was one theory that was never officially accepted, but it refused to disappear. What if the people didn't leave at all? What if they were taken? Not by something we understand, but by something we don't. It sounds like science fiction, but similar stories have appeared throughout history. Groups of people disappearing, ships found empty, expeditions that never returned, moments where entire populations seemed to vanish with no explanation and no trace. Part 8. History's strange patterns. This wasn't the only case. There have been reports of villages found completely empty, ships discovered drifting with no crew, expeditions where every member disappeared without explanation. Each case slightly different. Different locations, different times, different circumstances, but always the same ending. People gone. No clear reason, no clear evidence, just absence. And the more you study these cases, the more one question begins to form. Is it coincidence or something else? Part 9. The Unsolved Mystery. Over time, the investigations slowed. Leads ran out, theories collapsed, and eventually the case was closed. Not solved, just closed. The town was left behind, exactly as it was found. Empty, silent, untouched. A place where something happened, but no one knows what. Years later, it remains a mystery. No survivors, no witnesses, no answers. Part 10. Why stories like this stay with us. Stories like this affect us differently because they challenge something fundamental, our belief that the world is predictable, that events have explanations, that disappearances have causes. But what if they don't? What if sometimes things happen that we simply cannot understand? That idea is deeply unsettling because it means there are limits to human knowledge, limits to what we can explain. So what really happened that night? Was it something natural, something human, or something beyond our current understanding? There is no confirmed answer, only theories, only possibilities, and each one raises more questions than it answers. Because no matter what explanation you choose, one fact remains: an entire town disappeared. Outro. And maybe the most disturbing part is not that it happened, but that it could happen again, somewhere, at any time, without warning, without explanation. So the next time everything feels normal, routine, safe, predictable, take a moment, look around, and ask yourself how much of what we believe about reality is actually certain, because sometimes the most terrifying mysteries are not the ones we solve, but the ones that remain. If you're fascinated by unexplained mysteries, hidden histories, and strange psychological questions, make sure you subscribe, because the deeper you explore the world, the stranger it becomes.